I mean, you shot that from about, what, 30 feet away almost? Is that something you practice a lot, or do you have the expectations that's going to go in?
I practice it a little bit. Obviously, Coach Yeagley wants me to be in the box. He doesn't want to be shooting, 30-yard shots all the time.
And lastly, something you do after pretty much every goal is you break out and dance. Everyone on the team does.
Yeah.
Just how much fun are you guys having? And was that a Millie Rock?
Yeah, it was a Millie Rock. My brother and I and just a lot of my friends back home, that's our dance. So it's kind of just a shout out to them. But yeah, we're having a ton of fun. Obviously tonight, even though we got the 4-0 win, it still needs to be a lot better, a lot cleaner.
Now, lastly, you're an upperclassman. Do you feel like a leader now? Do you take that responsibility?
Yes, especially with Colin being out last year, realizing that I couldn't wait to, I guess, take that leadership role.
You're part of that defensive line that has 7 shutouts in their first 9 games this season. What has made your defense so impressive this year?
I think just our confidence. Grant and Timmy are probably 2 best center backs in the country.
Last season, you guys played Notre Dame, and you guys lost 4-0 on the road at South Bend. How much do you guys have that in your mind, and how much does it feel like it's almost revenge tonight?
I was thinking about this game ever since we lost 4-0. This is probably the best win of the season so far.
And lastly, the team's #1 in the country. You just beat Notre Dame. What's the team's confidence level right now?
Sky high. Still we got half a season left, but we're having fun.
Thank you very much, Josh. Now, you mentioned it. That Qualls weather was absolutely terrible. We had rain, we had snow, and we had wind. And because of that, we see more than a few teams that are rather talented in the field lower down in the qualifications. I'm talking about Beta, I'm talking about 3PH, and I'm talking about Bears. So talking to a bunch of the teams before the race, I'd expect those teams to get very aggressive early on and try and push for that lead lap within the first few laps. But today, the weather is absolutely beautiful. We're hitting 60 degrees outside, partly cloudy, but one thing to note, we've got about 10-mile-per-hour winds coming in from the east, which is something the riders aren't fully adjusted to because most of their practices, they're expecting that wind to come in from the west. So that'll be something to watch throughout the rest of this race. Back to you, Josh. Have you started to think about what that first experience is going to be like when you're at Assembly Hall and you lay down that first dunk in front of 17,000 people?
I think about that every day. I daydream in class, just sitting there, just thinking like the crowd's gonna go crazy once I get that first dunk, first three, first layup. What am I gonna do to be great every day? So that has made me work harder all season to be better and better.
Well, he says that. What's your response? What are you going to do to be great?
Just lead the team. Try to lead my team, try to help him out with the team, and just be the second coach of the team.
You started your career as a center because you're obviously taller than everybody out there. You moved to what many describe as like a stretch 4, and now you're at what's like a 2 or a 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
What'd you do to kind of develop those skills in your game to transition from a 5 to what you're at now?
Well, I didn't like playing big.
When did you dunk for the first time?
I dunked for the first time 8th grade in AAU.
I'm 5'6", so I don't know what that feels like. What does it feel like to rattle off a monster dunk in a game?
The crowd loves it.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Coach Ryan Knapp. Now, not only are you the coach of Blackheath Bulls, but you're the coach of Theta Cycling, and yesterday you guys pulled out the win. Can you just tell me a little bit about that unique race yesterday?
Yeah, it was a slow one, honestly, and a little bit almost boring for a while because everyone was just kind of in a Mexican standoff, just not really doing anything.
Now, heading into this race, you're the defending champions. What are you telling your team, and what did you learn from last year?
Last year was a little bit unique in the way it ended up playing out. Teams don't get away solo all that often.
Now, you mentioned how goofy of a bunch you guys have. After every goal, you guys are celebrating, and you're scoring a lot. Yeah. 5th most in the nation at this point. Griff said you're the one who organized a lot of these dance celebrations. Is that true?
Yeah, I would say that.
So how many of these you got in your arsenal?
We got some more coming.
Okay.
We got some more coming.
Now, can you run me through a few of the ones you guys have already done?
Okay, so Griff, he scored his first goal, I think, the first weekend, and then he went on a kind of stalemate for a little while. But Griff's one of the best attackers in the country, hands down. And one day I was like, Griff, come look at this dance. He was like, what is it, Shawty? I was like, and so obviously Weddy was here last year, and Weddy put me onto a lot of English music, and the name of the dance is the lean and bop. It's basically you're just leaning and bopping. Lean and bop, lean and bop. And it's simple, but that's something I showed Griff, and Griff started to giggle. I was like, you like that? He was like, yeah. I was like, okay, next goal you score, we're doing that. He scored, we did that. Then we got the Hotline Bling, which is like Drake's dance.
Yeah, everyone's got that down.
Drake and Griezmann.
Of course.
So I've been doing that a lot because I like that. Then Mason has his Millie Rock, which is the Mason likes that. So I don't
You don't touch him with that.
I don't touch him with that, but we gotta switch it up a little bit. I think we gotta score some more goals and get some new dances for sure.
And then you and Corey, I believe on your first goal of the season, you had this kind of move here.
So that was totally impromptu. Like, we did not make that up.
You impromptu both had the same exact.
Yes, that was. I still look at that goal like we still laugh about it because we did not know what we were doing, but it looked perfect. But we were hoping that's how it would look.
Are you the best dancer on the team?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, hands down. We got some robots on this team. This team has a lot of robots.
Like who? Who we calling out?
Frankie. Frankie cannot dance. Frankie cannot dance. Who else? I don't know, man. We have robots, but we're getting better.
Okay.
Regular season, it's a time to like clean up all our mistakes.
And then postseason play.
Oh,
clean as damn.
Oh, we are gonna. Oh my gosh, they're gonna sign us.
How close are you with your parents?
Very close, extremely close.
How do you stay in contact with them?
WhatsApp. Do you know what's WhatsApp?
Yeah, I know WhatsApp.
Yeah. WhatsApp. My dad, he doesn't have an iPhone, so I can't FaceTime him. But yeah, WhatsApp.
Have they ever been to the States?
Yeah. I got a lot of family up in the States actually. So my parents have been here a lot. My dad is gonna actually come up for senior night, so that'll be cool.
How much of your parents' impact do you think influenced just your level of energy and positivity?
100%, 150%. As I said, man, every single day, no matter if it's raining, whether it's sunny, it could be snowing, I could be having the worst day. I just gotta believe that I am blessed and I could put a smile on somebody else's face.
And stylistically, how are you looking to match up against Rutgers?
Rutgers is talented. They're very good going forward. They're good in transition. They're athletic.
And then lastly, looking at just the grand scheme of things, you guys have been in the top 5 of the rankings for the past couple of weeks. How does your team handle high expectations?
Well, they come here with that. I mean, it doesn't matter if we're ranked or unranked.
And you mentioned Mason Toye's 2 goals. Just how confident does he look out there on the pitch? Just only a freshman leading the team with 8 goals already. I'm here with Indiana infielder Tony Butler. Now, another big performance here for the Hoosiers. You guys have won 10 out of your last 11. What have you guys been doing so well, and what's the team mentality right now?
You know, I think who has more.
Josh and I talked to some of the guys over at Phi-Sci who are doing an incredible job so far in this race, and I just asked them about their strategy and what's going into this performance, and they said the big key, staying incognito. They pretty much don't want anyone to notice that they're doing well, which now is not going to work because everyone sees them at the top of the field, but that's really their strategy. They're trying to make sure people don't notice them when they're at the front of the pack so they can make those late moves when the pack slows down, and we'll see how aggressive they get as this race kind of reaches its end. Back to you, Josh. Thanks, Josh. I just talked with the guys at SAE, and they said they're going to probably make one more exchange before Joe finishes the race at the very end. They're not going to tell me who's going to come in the race, but they'll make that one last exchange and then hope Joe can finish them out. Back to you guys. You put in all this work to get here. What does it mean to have had your work worth it?
We won with the guy with the torn meniscus, if that tells you anything. This guy put the fucking team on his back. Or, sorry, excuse my French. All of these guys, this isn't be in the position to win, and I did what I was supposed to do. We came out, we did our jobs. Anyone who doubted us, we're back. 13. That's 13.
Cotton for more.
Thanks, guys. Now, I actually just had a little conversation with the bike mechanics over at BKB, and they mentioned that that dust might be just more of a visual thing. It really isn't having too much of an impact. They actually showed me more than a few bikes that look pretty clean. He seemed pretty upset about it. He would have loved some nasty stuff to clean up and more of a chaotic race here around turn 1, but he said the track is absolutely riding incredibly, and we're on an incredibly fast pace here, so not too much of an impact coming from that dust.
Part of the whole thing.
I mean, what does it mean to you to have that movie be a film that almost everyone before they get to Bloomington has to watch? I mean, I watched it last night.
Yeah, well, it's great. I mean, I'm happy that that it was as popular as it was and is, and so sure, it's a great pleasure to know that I was part of something that gives so many other people pleasure.
Now, what do you personally remember about your biking experience here on campus?
Well, I mean, I started out as a nobody, and through hard work, I got up to a point where I was perceived to be a threat. And anyway, after having the ability or having the chance to race in the thing back in 1962 and to win the thing, which sort of revolutionized the race, because prior to that, the race was ridden in very short series of, 6 laps, 4 laps, 2 laps, 8 laps, something like that. And I rode the first 40-some laps before exchanging, and with our success, and by having me ride as much as I did, it demonstrated that you could have success doing that.
Now, when you're on that defensive side of the ball, what do you think makes you so good at what you do?
Well, offensive players are mostly, offensive line are mostly slow, so.
How hard was the adversity of that experience, breaking your leg and not hearing from Michigan State and those other schools?
I was kind of hurt. To be honest, like when I broke my leg, I didn't even know I broke my leg. Like I broke it in the middle of a game and didn't feel it for like a good couple days. And then I went to the doctor and he was like, oh, your leg is broken in 3 places. This is like, it's all right.
How'd you rehab so quickly? I mean, you broke it in 3 places.
God.
That's needing to rebuild.
You mentioned that this is a program that needs to rebuild. Your last job that you took in Maryland was a program you got there. Their last recruiting class was 170th in the country, and by the time you leave, you have 2 top 15 recruiting classes. How did you go about that rebuild?
Well, I think it's about energy.
You ever get rickrolled? Rickrolled, did you ever click on a YouTube video with this extremely intriguing headline that gets your hopes up, and then you somehow find yourself watching a Rick Astley music video from 1987? Yeah, rickrolled. Everyone has had to listen to I'm Never Gonna Give You Up at least once. Now imagine getting rickrolled over and over and over and over, and should I do it one more time? Should I do it one more time? I'm gonna do it one more time. And over again. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what it feels like to watch IU football. The interesting title on a YouTube video, that's Indiana's chances against a ranked opponent. As much as you want to believe, it is almost inevitable that it will never happen. Indiana football could be in the best place that it has been in 25 years. Tom Allen's enthusiasm is infectious. Fans are excited about the potential of the program, and yet the tale is always the same. This past Saturday, Indiana hung with Michigan State on the road until crumbling at the very end to lose 17-9. They provided a challenge, but nothing more. Today we ask, what is the current status of Indiana football? And when is providing just a challenge not enough? Now, I can't really ask this question to a lot of people in the world, but what does it mean to you to be just the title of the fastest in the pool?
It's cool. It's a great point when I'm arguing with someone. To be honest, it's like, well, you don't know what you're talking about. They're like, yes, I do. I'm like, well, I mean, I would know the best because I'm the fastest in the world.
Indiana has no idea whether they have an offensive line that's competent, whether they have a running back that can actually run the ball against a competent defense, or whether they have a quarterback because they've got 2 and no one knows which one will work. Like, champion, hit me, quick.
The Warriors.
Warriors. It's hard to go against the Warriors. It really is.
LeBron's still in the league, so you never know.
Exactly.
It has to be Golden State.
Has to be Golden State. Now, coming up after the break, our panel will switch the discussion and preview some IU basketball. Stay tuned. Thanks, Josh. Now, as we highlight various teams throughout this broadcast, one team that I think doesn't get highlighted enough is Kappa Sig. They actually qualified second, which is their second highest qualifications ever. The only time they did better than that, they held the pole and won the race back in the 70s. And we talked to them before the race about how important that qualification was to them, because obviously we know qualifications does not mean everything, but what it does is it gives you an opportunity to pick your pit. And for Kappa Sig, it was huge for them to get that second pit spot right behind Cutters. And they mentioned how being an experienced team, they know it's always important to be next to those other highly competitive teams. So they're right next to Cutters, polled first, and they're going to be right nearby Blackheath Bulls, so they could look at their strategies and adjust based on that. In addition, Jack Bosler talked to me about how important it is that they have those 3 returning riders, and their one rider who has never rid in Little 500 before, he's actually a BMX national champion, so they got plenty of skill on this team, so I'd watch out for them for the rest of the race. Back to you, Josh. I heard Max mention those golden jerseys, and I thought I'd come in here and bring a little bit more to that. Archie Miller actually got that idea back in 2009 when he was an assistant coach for his brother Sean Miller at Arizona, and it was Archie's job to keep track of all the players, keep track of the points, and he would actually have conversations with guys every week. Anybody who wanted more minutes in the game, they come with complaints, and Archie would just say, look at the points you've accumulated this week. Not enough for me to say you should be a starter. So that's the way he's going to bring that accountability here to the Hoosiers, as we see Devontae Green earn that gold jersey this week. And as a reward, Devontae Green doesn't have to run sprints. Back to you guys. And then looking at Xavier, he's the second ITT rider. He's seemed to be a little bit rested, but now we see him out in the field. What have you seen out of him, and how confident are you in him?
I'm very confident. So this is actually his first set. He didn't enter the bike race until at lap 140 or something. He got dealt a little bit of having to catch back on after our flat, but I'm really confident in him.